Clubsport.
Welcome back to the AutoHound and the world debut of the Porsche GT2 RS Clubsport 25 by Manthey Racing. Only 30 were produced, with 5 coming to the United States and 1 going to Canada. This car cost $650,000, not including tax and delivery from Porsche Motorsport North America. It has 700 horsepower and does 0 to 60 in less than 2.6 seconds.
So they really went all out for this particular thing. Check this out. That is an ice car from the state of New Hampshire, and it says 25 on it, and Manthey Racing, lit up all in green. This car right here.
Oh wow, it's really nice.
One of the greatest things with Porsche that I learned at the Sports Car Together Fest last year with Karl, when he raced his 2019 GT2 RS Clubsport there, was that, you know, Porsche's a great brand where it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you drive a 914, a 911, or a Macan or a Cayenne. It welcomes you into the community, and you're invited for every track day, every rally, and you really get to embrace a brand that accepts you no matter what, along with the enthusiasts. And I think that's very special and hard to find these days, whether it's in a brand or a car or even a community. So to me, it brings a lot of great things that happen in life, and I think it's a moment that everyone shares, no matter whose car it is, when you get to view a vehicle like this from past, present, and future.
Beginning of where Porsche started with racing, which is why we wanted to display it next to this car here. So today is super special. If we look online today, what we're about to see, you cannot find a video. This car, we're probably the first ones in the world, or likely at least in the US, to be able to view this car in person. It hasn't been shown anywhere. This now is at a whole new level. They've taken everything that they learned from the Clubsport, everything Manthey Racing has developed and learned, and they have put it into this car. And so with that said, we'd like to reveal what Manthey Racing has developed with the GT2 RS Clubsport. It's now called the Clubsport 25, so 25 for the 25th anniversary of Manthey Racing. And the car is phenomenal. We've got some pictures we'll show of what even the Clubsport prior to this looks like from the underside of the car, and we'll lift it up a little bit later. But the aerodynamics of this car have been modified completely from the Clubsport. And some of the interesting things on this car, if you've looked at some of the reviews of the GT3 RS that's coming out, what they did in the GT3 RS is they put the air intake in the front for the cooling. They put a big, huge radiator, and then the air from that goes up over the intercoolers out, and they put in brake coolers. So the radiator now, instead of being 3 radiators like the past cars, now is a single one in the middle with brake cooling on the side. Because with a car like this, which is heavier than a GT3R, and a GT3 Cup car needs a lot of heavy braking because you're going a lot faster, and with heavy braking you need a lot of cooling. So that's one of the reasons they did that. And some of the other things they've learned, when you put in the air in here to cool the brakes, you need to now get that air out of the wheel well. And so that's the reason why you see vents now in the front fenders. And that's what's been added to this car. All of that same technology from the RSR race car, which is now into the GT3s. You see all that same technology. The mirrors on the side of the car come directly from the RSR race car. There's a hatch in the middle for emergency purposes. It's not an injection seat. And then there's air intake on the sides, and this is all for the intercoolers. So this car has the same engine, same transmission as a street car. The PDK transmission, and it's the exact same. So it makes it a very easy race car to drive, and it doesn't have all the high maintenance requirements of a GT3 Cup car or the RSR car. So it makes it more economical and just more fun for drivers or gentlemen drivers to drive. Again, back to the sides. So with the same engine, same transmission, the only thing they changed in this car from a street GT2 RS is the rear intercoolers, which cool the air before it enters the engine from the turbos. So the turbos go through, they push the air out of the turbos through the intercoolers, and the intercoolers are actually sprayed with water. It's called a condensate cooling system. And this car holds 5 gallons of distilled water to cool those intercoolers so that the air coming out of the turbos, because the turbos are hot, cools that air, which makes it more dense, goes into the engine and adds a lot more horsepower. And I know that it adds a lot more horsepower because when I raced at VIR, there was one member where his intercoolers were not working, and I could pull away from him in the straights at VIR, exact same car, and it was only because the intercoolers weren't working. So they do add quite a bit of horsepower to the car. This rear wing comes directly from the RSR technology. And then if you guys ask Al, he can tell you the technology of the wings on the side. There's actually some venting when you come around corners. The reason for the curves and the vents to actually produce more downforce in the car. Then there's some other things with the car. The car does have a hydraulic or an air lift system. It lifts on nitrogen gas only. It takes about 575 psi to lift this car. There's 4 jacks that go under, lifts the whole car up, so you can change the wheels quick and then drop the car back down. And this is where you do all that and where you add the water. So a little bit about myself on how we got this car. You might be wondering, well, how did you get this car? This is 1 of 5 in the United States. There's only 30 in the world that they made. And you might want to ask, well, how did I get 1 of 5 in the United States? I'll tell you, it's a pretty quick story. I won't take too long. The first thing was buying the GT2 RS and being familiar with that, having a little bit of racing background. I then was interested in the GT2 RS Clubsport. And the one thing about Porsche is they don't want you to buy a car and stick it in a garage and make it a garage queen. The cars are made to drive. They want to see you drive the car. And I always promised myself into Porsche that if I bought a car and give me a car, I will drive it, and I will drive the pants off of it. And the President Volker said, hey, if I give you this car, will you show up at the Sports Car Together Fest? And I said, I will drive this car if you give me that opportunity. And so he did. Nice. And that's how it happened.
So, walking around the GT2 RS Clubsport 25, 1 of 5 in the United States of America, not 1 of 6. And you can see on the top right here, it's got the escape hatch. Look at this thing. This is insanity. Wow. Very cool. Right over here is where they pump the nitrogen into the side of the car to lift it up. And look at these lights. Yeah, that's crazy.
want to give a special thanks to Karl Leinsing of Atech Designs for showing us this awesome vehicle, and of course Porsche Nashua in Nashua, New Hampshire. If you like this type of content, please make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe. And remember, it's about the drive.